Hey, this is JD. I'm here with Vicky Rowe, owner of GotMead.com, and AJ Ermans, an accomplished wine and mead maker. Tonight, let me see if I can get this right. Go enjoy choice food, sweet drinks, and send some to those who have nothing prepared. Bryan DeGraw from 810 Meadworks joins us, and he'll explain what all that means later on tonight. Update on the Pumpkin Pie Project, and hey, get your phone ready. Oscar joins us again live here tonight on Got Mead Live. So grab your glass of mead and your phone. Got Mead Live starts in less than 30 seconds. Okay, that was the fastest 30 seconds in the record book. So, but anyway, here we are. Welcome to Got Mead Live. Right off the bat, got to get a shout out or two out of the way. I was cruising, Vicky and AJ for the last couple of shows. They've pretty much educated me on this whole Got Mead forum or Got Mead Facebook group thing. And so I believe I've got it all straightened out now. So
yeah, the trick is to know that the ones that are for GotMead are called GotMead.
GotMead. Yeah. Not just mead.
Not just mead, yeah.
If it doesn't say GotMead, it isn't.
It isn't, yeah, right. Except no substitutes. But seriously, no, there's a lot of really great groups out there. But yeah, we do have a Facebook page and a group. Absolutely.
And today I was cruising through the GotMead group on Facebook. Noticed a post by Justin Waltz. He's a beekeeper, and he says he's going to attempt to make his first mead and was wondering what would be the best and easiest mead to make for his first time. Of course, I put up easy. It's been drilled into me by a guy whose family's been making wines not just for years, but for centuries. Try a traditional, just honey, yeast, and water. But AJ, you put something else in the notes.
Well, of course, you can try a Joe's Ancient Orange because you don't need a lot of supplies, and the results are relatively drinkable relatively quickly. So you don't have to wait a year for your traditional to be better.
There you go.
And that's the thing. I mean, the JAO is low cost to entry, easy to make, and almost guaranteed to be pretty darn good, if not awesome. So it's a really good, it doesn't kick you in the teeth if it doesn't work out. It's unlikely to do that if you follow the directions. But on the other hand, like Pete always says, if you learn to make a really awesome traditional, everything else is pretty easy. Because in a traditional, if you can do that well, there's no place to hide in a traditional. You're putting it all out there, but they're not hard to make if you follow good fermentation practices. And that's that kind of information is readily available. So
it didn't dawn on me until I saw it in the notes there, and I know who put it in there. And because I have been paying attention and listening to Oscar, and it's just been drilled into me: traditional. Mm-hmm. Start with that first. So, yeah. What are we drinking here tonight, Vicky?
Well, I'm polishing off. I thought I had finished the San Francisco Meadery apple pie, but much to my joy, I found a third of a bottle of it left, so it's going to go bye-bye tonight.
There you go. And AJ, explain.
I'm drinking mystery mead that I checked in a Scotch bottle. It was dregs from another batch, and I'm not sure which one, but turns out it wasn't very nice, so I've topped it off with the raspberry ancient mead that I made a while ago to make it drinkable because it was pretty awful.
And by God, we're going to drink it, aren't we?
By God, I'm going to drink
waste
it.
mead? No.
Honey's way too bloody expensive to waste that.
That's it, too.
Well, I'm drinking, I have a bottle of Redstone, and I've got to get over to my mother lode of mead and get another supply. I'm drinking Redstone Meadery Pinot Noir. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have a name. It's just... it's in this blue bottle with the Redstone Meadery label, and it's honey wine with Pinot Noir concentrate. And I've been drinking a short glass of this. I can't drink a whole lot of alcohol late at night because that's when I take my meds. But I do have a glass of this a couple hours before that. I really like this. This is a very good late nightcap, I guess, if you will. And I'm going to pick up another bottle. It's not real sweet. It's on the dry side, which I tend to like more. And it's very good. So, but with that being said, welcome to GotMead Live here on a Tuesday night. Certainly want to push and if you haven't noticed, we were just talking about this before we fired up here tonight. Vicky's doing a lot of work on the forum, on the website. Of course, the new website is up and running. Paint's still wet, but the forum is also being worked on as well. So please don't touch the door jams.
Yeah. We got, I want to give a shout out to Bill Stelling. He's probably listening right now. He is a guy I actually just sort of stumbled over accidentally in another place. We got to talking about something that was going on with the forum software, and he's kind of a guru on the forum. And we got to talking offline. Turns out he's also kind of a guru with creating the themes, the look and feel. And so he's actually doing a whole brand new custom one-of-a-kind theme for GotMead. And that's going to do the forum theme, and then we're going to tie that into the site theme so we have a nice overall consistent look and feel. So I'm pretty excited about it. It's going to take a while because Bill's got like a regular job that he does. This is something that he does on the side, but he's pretty talented. And I've been looking under the hood as he does it because I've got, I can go and look at the non-active theme, and it's looking pretty sharp. So I think you guys will like it. But yeah, thanks, Bill. And the check is in the mail, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, I mean, it's really starting to show. And I'm really proud of the fact that, we've got this live show going on Tuesday nights, the whole GotMead Live thing coming together with the new website. Really awesome work there, Vicky. And you can become a patron member, and I have harped on this every single show, and I can't say enough about it. If you really are serious about getting into making this mead, there's a whole other flip side of the forum. It's called the patron member side, and you can gain access to that for right now for $25 a year. And of course, the year is almost over with, but there's a whole lot more information that's available to you. And as much as I'm learning about making mead, I have the patron access, and I'm working on some meads. I'm working on a traditional. It's my very first, and I'm really, really proud of it because it's coming along very nicely. This is a recipe, an award-winning recipe, and this is what you get when you pay the $25 a year. And of course, that $25, Vicky, goes to help pay the expenses at GotMead.com as well, right? Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And
right now, it's all going to pay Bill.
Bill.
For now and for quite a while in the future, it's probably going to be going to pay Bill because good work is not cheap. So yeah,
no, it's not. And
this is actually in 20 years of running this site, the first time I have ever contracted out any work for the site ever.
Yeah, and if you want a top-notch place of business, which is what GotMead.com is, I mean, it costs money to get it to that level. So
yeah, well, I'm sure there's people out there going, well, we noticed that you never farmed anything out, Vic.
The Facebook, of course, all you got to do is just type in GotMead and it'll take you right there. Twitter, at GotMead now. Ask Oscar. You can just go to the GotMead.com website, click on the radio link, and I think it's right below that, Vicky. Is there another?
Just put your mouse over the radio link, and it's right there underneath.
Yeah, and fill out the form, and please be as complete. Answer all of the questions because it's really, really hard for Vicky and Oscar to try to guess what's between the lines, what you didn't put in. And, many times, questions will go on the bottom of the pile, or, if not, they'll just won't be in the pile at all, if you don't be as complete as you can. The call-in number, as always, 818. If I get your pencils and paper out, 818. Put this on your speed dial.
Smartphones. If y'all haven't got smartphones, how come you don't have one?
Smartphone, 818-921-4680. 818-921-4680. We want to hear from you. The show links, of course, on the GotMead.com website. Just click on that radio web page up there. It'll take you right there. If you're mobile, you can take us with you. You can take us with you. You can download the app for both iOS and Android devices from TuneIn.com. Replays of every show are always available on GotMead.com, on SoundCloud, on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio. You know what? Just go to Google and type in GotMead Live, and it'll take you somewhere. But with that, we're going to step away. When we come back, Bryan DeGraw. Sit tight.
Mead, located in the heart of North Carolina, specializes in wine-style meads of varying sweetness level. With a menu that usually includes 16 different flavors and featuring local North Carolina honey, there's always something new to try. Whether you like a drier mead that mimics a red or white wine, or something sweeter with fruit or herbs, Starlight Mead has got you covered. Come in for a tasting. Starlight Mead Artisan Winery and Tasting Room is located at 480 Hillsborough Street, Suite 1000, Pittsboro, North Carolina, at Chatham Mills. This historic Label Mill complex is located just north of downtown Pittsboro on 15501, 2 miles south of Highway 64 bypass, or order a bottle from vinoshipper.com. Either way, Starlight Mead hopes to surprise and delight you.
HomebrewTalk.com, your absolute everything resource for brewing beer at home. Their forum covers recipes, brewing equipment, and help from member brewers. If you picked up your equipment today, you can start brewing tonight with everything you need to know at HomebrewTalk.com. Sign up today for as little as $4 a month and become a supporting member.
Known for the most amazing and creative alcoholic beverages made from honey, Bee Nectar is a worldwide sensation. Bee Nectar gives their fans a variety of options, from their famous Zombie Killer, a hard cider made with honey and cherries to kill all the golfers, a lightly carbonated draft mead made with black tea and lemon juice. Bee Nectar makes meads, ciders, and beers that extend beyond the traditional. They let their imaginations guide them. Learn more at BeeNectar.com. That's BeeNectar with a K.com. And we are back live here on GotMead Live for a Tuesday night. And 810 Meadworks, this is a small meadery in Medina, New York. They have some big flavors they'd like you to try. 21 Bean Salute offers the aroma of a rich, earthy, cold brew coffee with the sweetness of honey and creamy vanilla. And Liquid Sunshine, a carbonated lemon lavender mead made with wildflower honey and green tea. For more information about their tasting room and mead list, visit them at 810meadworks.com today. And ladies, just recently they were given a pretty respectable score, 17 out of 20, at ratebeer.com for their 21 Bean Salute. Our guest tonight, Vicki, is Bryan DeGraw, owner of 810 Meadworks in Medina, New York.
Hello.
Hey, Bryan. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. It is Medina, by the way.
Medina? That's like it's spelt Bahama here, but it's pronounced Bahama. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a common thing, so don't feel bad.
All right.
So you guys are, over by Niagara Falls then?
Yeah, we're about just about an hour to Niagara Falls, maybe a little bit less. It's primarily a farming community out in this area, but we're also a member of Wine Trail that stretches from Niagara Falls all the way to Rochester.
Nice.
I think it's 22 wineries, and we're one of those.
This is a good thing.
Yes. Yes, and they're glad to have us as a meadery. We don't make any traditional wine. We don't even make any cider. Everything we make is honey-based, and they're glad to have a little bit of variety on the trail.
Yeah. A man can only drink so many Pinot Noirs before it's time to switch up.
That's true.
Yeah. Very, very true. So, so you guys have been open, what, 8 months now?
10 months, 11 months. Next month,
Okay.
next month will be our 1 year anniversary. So we're about 6 weeks away from that, and it's been an interesting year. It's been fun, and I'm really excited to see what year 2 brings. We intentionally kept things fairly small this year and really didn't do any advertising. The wine trail is advertised for us, and that's really been the only exposure that we've gotten outside of our own Facebook page or word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And even at that, we've exceeded expectations in sales this year, and things have gone a lot better for us than we anticipated.
Nice. So you guys are mainly just serving out of. You're not at the point where are you putting stuff in stores yet, or?
No, we were asked by a couple different places, and I really just don't have the production to commit to supplying them with too many things. Most of our more popular things, which I would want in a store, sell out in the tasting room here. So it's kind of difficult to give a portion of my product to somebody else when I have loyal customers that consistently come in here looking for specific products. We are currently looking to expand production in a new facility, and that should actually move a little quicker than I had originally anticipated. So hopefully that happens, and by the spring we should have at least a double production capacity and size right now that we have.
Nice. Where are you? Is it okay to ask where are you at production level wise right now?
We primarily do 50-gallon batches, but I do have one 5-barrel plastic conical fermenter that I put our most popular product in, and I try to keep that full, or at least mostly full. But then everything else is in 50-gallon fermenters. I have 50-gallon plastic drums that I put drum liners in. Makes cleanup really easy. And then that stuff gets transferred into stainless for aging, depending on how long it's going to sit there and clearing. And I think we have nine or 10 stainless, and we have 8 plastic. And just about all of them are full right now.
Okay. What's your... for honey, are you going local, or are you having to branch out?
We source 100% of our honey from a local apiary. They're about 15 or 20 minutes away from here, and they have 20-some-odd varieties of honey. They do a lot of varieties, and they can't supply us with that many, but right now we've been using like 6 or 7 different varieties from them.
Cool. I'm assuming that at the size level you're at now, you're getting 5-gallon pails, or are you up to buying barrels yet?
It's getting close to barrels. The building that we're in right now would make barrels just a serious problem and really difficult. I mean, the production room is only 400 square feet. Those stainless barrels I mentioned are actually stacked on top of each other, 10 feet in the air, just to there's 14-foot ceilings in the building, but I only have 400 square feet of floor. So getting a drum of honey in there would just be too difficult. The apiary delivers the honey for us, and when I mentioned a drum to him, he's like, well, how are you going to get it inside the building? I was like, I don't know, that's your job. He was like, well, here's what I'll tell you. I'll keep carrying buckets in, and when you get somewhere I can drive a truck up and we can wheel it off, then I'll bring you a drum. So
there you go.
The new building, if it works, we'll probably get a drum in there in the spring, or at least a couple of drums.
Nice. Well, and now, are you guys, when you do that, are you gonna get a pump? I've heard from a bunch of people doing it, getting it out of the pail by hand or out of the barrel by hand, and then there's people who just can't live without that pump.
Yeah, I talked to the apiary about it. They don't use a pump right now, so he has like a cart that you tilt it with, and I'm probably going to go with that at first until I can justify spending the money on a pump. And who knows how much of a disaster tipping a 600-pound barrel over will be.
I don't see any problems at all with that.
Health department, just wait. Let me shovel up this honey. Oh my God! Yeah, that would be a disaster of epic proportions.
Yeah, I mean, we've dumped a bucket on the floor before, which is, that sucks because that was a lot of just got dumped on the floor that has to go down a drain. But yeah, and that always kills me. So we haven't dumped a bucket on the floor in like too many months, and I'm gonna have to knock on wood.
I was just gonna say, better do something about that, or it'll happen tomorrow when you're putting in another batch.
Yeah, I plan to make 2 batches tomorrow, so now I'll make a big mess, I'm sure.
Yeah. So what are you've got the lavender lemonade, and you've got
that was actually a summer seasonal, so we don't currently have any of that. I do have 6 cases that I'm holding that we're going to release in December when we go with our national shipping, or at least 20 state shipping line. So those 6 cases will be available for that. And the other thing with those 6 cases, we've been packaging our carbonated meads, and the liquid sunshine, the lemon lavender, is a carbonated at 9%. That we've been packaging that in 12-ounce or 375 milliliter beer bottles, Belgian-style beer bottles, so it is a 375. We're actually going to 750 champagne amber bottles for all of our carbonated meads that sell. The ones that sell better will be going to 750. So the Liquid Sunshine, like I said, I have 6 cases that I'm saving for December 1st when we go live with 20 state shipping through Vino Shipper.
I will mark that on my calendar.
Yeah, and that really was a huge seller for us in the summertime. And I noticed, I went to quite a few farmers markets and offsite events, and I noticed that if it was above 75 degrees, I was guaranteed to sell 2 cases of that at an offsite event. If it was below 75 degrees, I struggled to sell a case. So it really is not something that does well for us when it's cooler. But we have our Scarlet A, which is a blueberry honey with apples and cranberries, and that sells great in the colder months. It's a really good sizer.
It sounds like you're into different, unusual, whatever you want to call it, flavor combinations, because I see you've got the pineapple cucumber as well. So talk to me about that. Where are these ideas? Okay, at the risk of sounding like a bookhound and asking where do you get your stories, where do you flavor mixtures ideas?
I can't take credit for all of them. I do make all the mead, but the pineapple cucumber was a friend who was juicing, and that was his favorite juice combination. And I thought it was a terrible idea. So he hounded me to make something like that for a while, and then finally I decided I had to do it because he gave me honey and he gave me, the ingredients. So I finally did it, and it turned out to be actually very good. So that's something that we brought on board here. That was something that I didn't make. The first time I made it was probably about 8 months before we opened our doors here. So we were in the planning stages, but he just felt like it was something that would work for us. And it's really unique. It's not one of our better sellers because it is very dry, but it's very crisp, and it's really cucumber forward. So you really need to like dry wine, and you really need to like cucumbers, and that's really the people who buy it. And the people who buy it really love it. So that's another one too. That's a much better seller in the summer. Since it's gotten colder, we haven't sold as much of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't see that as being more a winter popular thing. We just got a question in from Twitter, and it's from Sergio at Melavino. Oh. Yeah, and Sergio says, Brian, how are you bottling all your carbonated product?
With a Blickman beer gun.
Okay.
Yes.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's that's part of the reason why we had a difficult time tonight. So, yeah, but I actually I'm friends with one of the winery owners. Me and him are pretty friendly. I don't know if we're friends or acquaintances, but I inquired to him because his most popular product is a carbonated semi-sweet peach wine. So I went up there and I said, Dan, how are you doing all this? So he showed me this like homebrew counter pressure bottle filler that he's had since the 70s with like 3 different levers on it to adjust all this stuff. And I'm like, this is like ridiculous. You should just buy a Blickman beer gun. It was so much easier. So he's like, yeah, maybe I should, but I don't feel like laying out the $100. And I mean, that's something, he sells hundreds of cases of that a month, at least 100 cases of that a month he sells. I don't understand how he puts that much product through that little counter pressure filler. So there's plenty of people doing it frugally, and I hope to be able to afford something a little bit bigger and better. I do have a standing offer from another winery that has a 2-bottle counter pressure filler that's works a much faster level.
Cool.
But I don't have the supply and demand issues that Sergio has at the time being.
Yeah. Sergio kind of went ballistic right out of the gate there. He said he almost went that route too, and quickly changed his mind. I'm guessing, once the rush hit, and he realized that that would probably not work too good.
Yeah, it's pretty labor intensive, and it's not very precise. It really takes a good eye, and the temperature needs to be right on the product. The temperature needs to be right in the room, and the humidity is a little crazy today, and it was a little too hot, and we had foaming issues, and it takes 2 guys. You can't do it by yourself. So it really is not cost effective unless you're not counting your own labor time. Yeah,
which, let's face it, a lot of people don't get to do that when they're first starting out.
Pretty much, that's what I do.
Yeah. I mean, it's like anything. I mean, it's, you start a small business and, your time is unpaid, worth a lot, but unpaid as you get things going. That's, sucks, but there you go. So how much increase in production capacity do you expect to get when the new place comes around?
The new space should have a minimum of 2,000 square feet, and probably realistically, I can use up to 4,000 square feet in the building.
Nice.
So that'll allow me to get to much larger production. I don't know what I'm going to do with carbonated meads. Probably the other winery I mentioned, they're up the road like 6 miles. I probably can take stuff up there. They have a 300-gallon bright tank that they said I can use, and they don't bottle and package as often as I've been. So it'd be something that I'd be able to work out with them. So that's probably where I'm going to go with things like Liquid Sunshine, and our Scarlet A is the sizer I mentioned. Those 2 carbonated ones sell way faster than anything else. So those 2 will be being made up there, and I hope to make 300 gallons or so of Liquid Sunshine to start in the spring as a first batch of the year next year, and hopefully that'll last me through most of the summer, and maybe I can get another 300-gallon batch in the summer made of that.
So what's your average turnaround time on a batch?
The Liquid Sunshine and the Scarlet A are pretty quick. The Scarlet A is actually very quick, and if I could cold crash, I could have Scarlet A packaged in 3 weeks. Liquid Sunshine is 5 weeks. But without cold crashing, it takes about 5 weeks.
Okay. That's not too bad, though. Is that from pitch to sell?
Yep. Yeah, it's the Scarlet A is 8%, and it's back sweetened, filtered and back sweetened. And then the Liquid Sunshine is 9%, and that's done the same way.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, how did you come to end up doing this? Did you go that route of all your friends telling you this is amazing, you should be selling it, or is there a better story there?
No, I was a home brewer for about a year before I got into mead, and this is about 6 years ago I got into mead as a home brewer. But beer is a lot cheaper to make, so I was always making more beer than I was mead. And I really enjoy to drink beer a lot more than I drink mead. I don't drink mead on a regular basis. It'd be like a once or twice a week kind of thing for me. And so I made mead, but it was a lot more special, and I didn't give it to as many people, and the people I did give it to were the people I really wanted honest feedback from. And I always got great feedback on my mead, where my beers, I didn't always get great feedback, and my beers weren't always great. But my meads were always consistently good. And it just kind of got to the point for me as a teacher where I just couldn't do it anymore. And I say I was a teacher, but I taught in a residential facility for at-risk youth. It was a really difficult place to work.
Yeah.
It's a really toxic environment, and I just burned out. And I came home from work one day. I told my wife, I said, look, I don't know how much longer I can do this for, but we got to come up with some kind of plan, because I'm not going to make it through this year. And that was 2 years ago, September. And it was about a week later, I came home, and my wife said, well, then why don't we start a meadery? And really that was kind of spurred out of on a guy that I had talked with before that was pursuing a meadery, which he still hasn't gotten anything closer to opening, and this is probably 5 years now he's been pursuing it. So I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, that sounds like it would be amazing, and so we did the market research and looked into the area that we're in right now, because we had wanted to live here for a long time. And the more we looked into it, the more sense it made. Now, we came from New Jersey, where Sergio is, so I feel like a strong connection to Sergio, and I hope he has somewhat of a connection to me. I've never been there, we've never met, but I hope to go down there soon to visit some family and go see.
I was going to say, and if you don't see him then, I'm hoping to drag his sorry behind out to Mazer Cup this year. And if you come, then I'll hook you guys up. I do plan to go to the Mazer Cup this year. Cool.
And I do plan to submit meads to the Mazer Cup. I've never submitted any mead to any competitions.
Really? Yeah, you definitely should.
I will. Part of the reason I haven't done that is because I entered some homebrew competitions early on as a homebrewer, and there was some funny stuff that happened in the competitions, and I had numerous people in the one competition tell me my beer was way better than the guy who won. I got the two highest scores from two of the three judges, and then I got the lowest score from the third judge, which put me in like fifth place. And it just really burned me. And then I entered that beer into another competition, and the same kind of thing happened to me. And I just decided, you know what? I don't really care about entering a competition. I'm making things so I can enjoy them. So that's kind of transferred into my business. But at the same time, I also recognize we have some good meads that probably are worthy of some high praise in a competition. So I don't know if I'm going to place a medal in the Mazer Cup, but I do plan to enter into competitions next year, and the Mazer Cup will definitely be one of them.
Cool. We'd love to see your meads there. That would be really awesome.
Yeah, I'll be there.
The Mazer Cup is, we do our level best to keep the standards sky high. And we've got no problem with getting rid of people who don't adhere to our impossibly high standards. So, we really do. We're very, very, that's probably the number one most important thing to the team that runs the Mazer Cup, which I am fortunate to be a part, is that high level of quality and commitment to giving the meaderies and the homemade makers everything right, that everything that they need so that they can have a good experience. I mean, we want the competition to be above reproach. It's really, really important.
No, I totally respect the Mazer Cup as well. I never was hesitant to enter the Mazer Cup for any reason other than my own personal issues with feeling spurned from things in the past. So
yeah. Oh, I hear you. It's not an easy thing. I never entered for much the same sort of reasons, and I can't enter the Mazer Cup for obvious reasons. So it's a bit of a conflict of interest there, so I just don't. Besides, my stuff gets drunk up so fast I never have time to enter competitions anyway. I don't make enough of it to do that. So when you guys decided to okay, we're going to make a business out of this, what happened from there? What did you run into? What worked? What didn't?
The first thing we did, because we were looking to go to New York, and so I immediately went to all of the liquor stores around me and tried to find New York wine, and I could not. I could not find New York wine in New Jersey. And there's some financial legality things with, transporting wine from New York into New Jersey that make that difficult. But the other thing that it really surprised me, because New York is the third highest producer of wine in the country behind California and Oregon, and they're very far, or Washington, not Oregon, very far behind California. But it really kind of struck me. So I looked more into the New York wine market, and I realized that people come from all over the East Coast and the Northeast to New York every summer to get wine through the Finger Lake regions and the eastern fork of Long Island, and as well as coming to the Niagara region with the where we're at. And it really kind of made some sense to us that people come to New York to buy their wine and take it home with them, and that's why you don't see a lot of New York State wine. And while New York may produce a lot of wine, the majority of the wineries in New York are actually very small.
Really?
So that kind of, New York has over 300 wineries.
Yeah, I know. It's you read about the wine trails, and I know the Finger Lakes district. My mother-in-law grew up in that area in her summers, and I've heard a lot about it from my friends who live up in New York and so I'm kind of surprised that they're all really small. I know like 2 wineries in New York. One of them's Brotherhood, because they have a mead, so
I don't even know who they are.
They're about an hour outside NYC, and it's Brotherhood Winery. I think it's the oldest winery in America, and they're not very big either, but they have a Tej, and they have a sweet mead, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yeah. Go check them out if you get over there.
Very, very small wineries. Just about all of the, or most of the wineries on the Niagara Trail do less than 5,000 cases a year.
Wow.
And these are wineries that the majority of those are 5 years or more established.
Okay. So when you guys were starting this up, you decided, okay, toxic job and the mead thing sounds like a great way to live our lives, and it'll get us into the area where we want to live. What happened? What did you do, and what kind of issues did you run into, or was it all smooth sailing?
I hit a day before we actually decided to do this where I felt like if I didn't do what I'm doing right now, by the time I was 50, I would regret it. I'm 33 now, and I didn't want to be 50 and have drugged myself through a career that I hated and regretted never doing this. So we just decided to do it. Our house had been for sale in New Jersey for 8 months, and we had zero interest. So we started to look at some properties in New York that we felt like would work for us. We wanted to be in a downtown environment. We wanted to be able to capitalize on foot traffic that a town has. And we also wanted to have a dessert kind of menu that people, if they were out for dinner, could come to us for dessert. So we do have that in the tasting room. My wife makes chocolates that pair with all of our meads, and each chocolate recipe is designed different, and those are all barks. And then each weekend she makes a different dessert plate that includes a mini dessert, some fresh fruit, and a truffle. And the truffle flavors change on a weekly basis as well.
Oh, man.
So as we kind of looked to, that business model is what we were trying to find a fit for. We settled on Medina for a variety of reasons, but the biggest one is that real estate prices in Medina are very cheap. And it has a very unique business district, and mead being, not common, we felt like mead fit the business district here well. So without having any idea of how we were going to move here or how we were going to do anything, my wife calls the mayor of Medina and tells him, hey, we're thinking of coming to your town and opening a meadery. And then it was about 2 hours later, we got an offer for rent on our house in New Jersey, and a month later we moved to New York, and that was December 2013. And then we opened about a year after that. My wife is an incredible processor of paperwork. She worked in the state government in New Jersey for 10 years.
Wow.
So she understands what a bureaucrat is looking for on her piece of paper. And on every single one of our deadlines in licensing, we actually got licensed ahead of what the calculators predicted we would get licensed in.
Nice.
And yeah. So she's very good with that. Everybody that makes mead and knows about the meadery industry knows how many times recipe formulas get rejected. And I would say, I think, we have something like 20-something formulas approved. And I think we've only been rejected on 2 of them, and one of those was my fault. So
that's got to be some kind of record, Brian. Seriously. Maybe if you guys want to make a little extra money on the side, maybe you should rent your wife out to other meaderies to help them do their paperwork. I'm not kidding, really.
I've thought about that. I was like, man, if we don't make it as a meadery,
you can make it as like meadery paperwork processors. Yeah.
We'll make my wife a mead consultant, and
there you go. Yeah.
Everybody.
Seriously, I'm going to get your wife's name because I work with meaderies to help them do their marketing and stuff. And having somebody like that I can refer people to would be awesome.
Every time I mention something like that, she just kind of gives me the death stare. Like,
oh no, yeah, we don't want the death stare.
Doing
That's
it for
good.
Other people.
Are you kidding? Yeah. It's bad enough doing it for us. Just because I'm good at it doesn't mean it's fun.
Right.
We're talking to Bryan DeGraw tonight from Medina, New York. There, I said it right, from 810 Meadworks. Bryan, go enjoy choice food, sweet drinks, and send some to those who have nothing prepared. How does that fit into your meadery?
Well, that is what the 810 in our name, 810 Meadworks, stands for. And that fits in that early stages when, we were discussing on whether we wanted to do this as a real business or not. It was really just a dream at that point. We're in church, and the pastor during the service read this verse as part of his sermon, and it was something that just grabbed a hold of both of us, and it was the point for us where in our minds that was we're not turning back from this. We're going to go do this, and we're going to do it. So, and really that verse in its placement in the story that it comes from is about going and having a good time after being stuck in a crappy situation, just like we, or at least I was in my job. And we really, where we lived in New Jersey, we're over 2 hours away from family and just felt isolated where we were, and we needed to be closer to family. And my wife's family had all relocated to the area where we are. And it just felt like a breath of fresh air to our lives to hear that verse in the moment where we were, and we just felt like we needed to go do it. And like I said, that was the moment where in our minds there was no turning back. We left church that Sunday, and on the way home in the car we said, we're going to go start a meadery. I don't know where, I don't know how, but we're going to go do it.
Awesome.
Interesting. I really like that. That's from Nehemiah, right?
Yes, Nehemiah 8:10.
Okay, cool. So, it's interesting because several other things that you said over the course of this conversation, in my head, I'm thinking the stars were lining up for you, the universe was knocking at your door, whatever you want to call it, God was providing. You've had, things have lined up. So it sounds to me like this was kind of what you guys were meant to do.
It feels like it. I work countless hours, and there's so many things to do every day and every week. But I have so much more energy, and I love what I'm doing. I wouldn't want to do anything else. People all the time, it's almost become cliche. You pick a job that you would do for free. Well, most of the time I am doing this for free, but I still love it.
So it's a good thing that you love it, right?
Yeah, it's fine. And, if it's serving customers in the tasting room, or if it's bottling in disastrous form at 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock at night while you're waiting for a radio show to call you, it's still fun. So, I wouldn't change anything in our business in the last year. I've learned some things, and there's mistakes that were made that I won't make again. But at the same time, I wouldn't change anything that has happened.
Well, and mistakes are part of the learning process. If you don't make mistakes, it just means that they're going to be bigger later, really.
Yep.
Exactly. Better to make them small and early than big and late is kind of the way I look at it. Yeah, it's, you have to crawl before you can walk. But I love that you just, kept taking the steps and you made the dream happen. You took advantage of what was in front of you and weren't afraid to do that. That's a tough thing. What would what would you say to, we got a whole raft of newbies coming up behind you guys that are people in process right now. The next five episodes are all meaderies in the process of getting legal. And so what would you have to say to them as they're dragging themselves through this, what can be, in a lot of cases, a pretty frustrating and in some cases expensive process?
There were some days early on where I really doubted that we were going to actually do this. We worked so hard, worked countless hours. I mean, last year, and not this year, but the previous year before we opened, I was working 100 hours a week and, sleeping less 20 hours some weeks. And at some points it really didn't feel worth it. And I would I wouldn't recommend anyone to abuse their bodies in the way I did in doing that. But at the same time, when you're going to start a small business, especially when you're going to start a meadery, which has a whole other world of hurdles to climb over legally and, educationally and educating customers and things like that. If you want to be successful, you're going to have to sacrifice some things that maybe you're not willing to sacrifice. Whether it be eating or sleeping or time with people, that initial push to get going really is going to take more out of you than I think you're aware of or ready for. And you need to just bite down and do it. I mean, if this is something you really want to do and you really believe in yourself that the product you make is going to be successful, then you're just going to have to suck it up and do those things, and really do the dirty work sometimes that you didn't think was possible. And I would also say that you may think you're a hard worker and you may think you know what hard work is, but you won't know what hard work is until you start a business from scratch.
Yeah, and that's I can attest to that. Although I've not started a meadery, I've run my own business for years, and people are like, "Oh, that must be so great! You can take off whenever you want." And I'm going, and I work Christmas and New Year's and nights and weekends and birthdays and anniversaries, and I've been known to be working on GotMead all night long on Christmas night because it went down.
Yeah.
So
we took a business class, and there's some times during the business class. It was a county class that allowed us to get a low interest loan to help us get started. And
nice.
In the class, there was some discussion in there that as a small business owner, it's a 24/7 job, and that's absolutely true. If you're going to be a small business owner, you're 24/7. And there are some days where I've worked till 4 or 5 in the morning. One night in filtering, that was the Murphy's Law attack on mead that night. I started filtering. I started way too late, but I ended up at like 5:30 in the morning just laying down on the couch for an hour and taking a nap, and then got up and finished after that. But yeah, I worked all night that night. I went that day on 1 hour sleep, and whatever. That's some days they're going to be that way, and other days are going to be, you can go to bed at a reasonable hour and get a good night's sleep, and those days are like 5 a year.
Yeah, I hear you. So, okay, biggest pain in the butt and biggest triumph. What would you say?
Ooh, biggest pain. Like biggest single pain or the biggest like recurring pain?
Oh, you choose.
I would say the biggest pain for me has been not doing proper research on a correct pump and a pump that would work well for me. The pump that I ended up buying, it works, but I don't know if I got a lemon or it just doesn't like mead. But the heavier, thicker meads tend to cause it to overheat, which is part of the reason why I ended up laying on the couch at 5:30 one morning. So it'll overheat, and then you got to let it cool down, and then you can run it back again, and so on. But so that's probably been my biggest pain, and probably the biggest triumph. The biggest triumph actually happened like 2 weeks ago. I was at this brewery in Rochester after this event that I had poured at for a radio station. And I went there. I had built some relationship up with the brewer previously, and at the same time, this other brewery of guys that I know showed up there, including a brewer from Genesee Brewing Company. And one of the guys was like, "Hey, Brian, you got any mead in the car you can bring in?" So I was like, "Yeah, actually I do." So I went out there, I grabbed the bottle, we brought it in, we poured it out, everybody enjoyed it. And it was like the moment where I felt like, all right, all my hard work has paid off because all of these guys love what they're trying. And, it's not like customers, it was colleagues.
Yeah.
Mine who are crafting things themselves that really enjoyed it. So that was probably my greatest triumph, even though it's not something that's on paper. In my mind, that is my highest moment as a business owner and as a mead maker.
Nice. I like that. And it is. I mean, to get when people that you work with, that are other people in your industry tell you that you've made it.
Yep.
That's when it all makes sense.
Yes.
So, JD, I imagine you're overflowing with questions, and I expect AJ's got some things to ask.
Well, AJ's been sitting there sipping on her mystery mead with the raspberry. Go ahead, AJ.
It got better after a few. I was wondering if you have a preferred yeast, or if you pick yeast based on the recipe, or if you use the same one for everything.
I use Lavalin 71B for anything that I want fruit to really be forward in, and most of what I make is melomel, so I would say that's probably my favorite yeast. But I also like the Lavalin K1V or KV1 or whichever way it goes. That one I feel like is very clean and is pretty fast for me, so I do like that one as well.
Okay, thank you.
I also use, I actually have our mead that is made with Cascade and Simcoe hops. I use American ale yeast. I use a Saison yeast in a mead that we put some Sriracha Ace hops as well as peppercorns and lemons. And I try to ferment that warm like a farmhouse or a Saison would be if it was a beer. So you get some good fusel alcohol flavors in there too. Then I use D47 and some Premier Cuvée on some higher gravity stuff that I want to finish higher. So I think that's it.
Tell me about your. I love good coffee. I mean, if there's anything, if it was my last meal, it would be a cup of coffee. Good coffee. Tell me about this 21 bean salute. How did you get there? How did you and how do you do it? How do you incorporate coffee beans or coffee, I guess, into a mead?
We put vanilla beans in first, and I pretty much leave them in. It's anywhere from 10 days to 14 days, and really that's an aroma thing. I don't give any samples, but at the 10-day mark, I'll open that up and see how it smells. And if it's where I'm happy with it, then I actually put whole coffee beans right into the mead. And this is all in secondary after the fermentation's complete. And the whole beans right in there, and I leave them in there until they become saturated enough that they start to sink. So you actually get a lot of aroma and some good flavor. I feel like it's well balanced between the coffee and the honey flavor that you get in there. But it just whole beans, no pressing them, no crushing them, no cooking them, no brewing them in any way that you would if it was coffee. And yeah.
Did you? How did you go about selecting the coffee bean itself? I mean, there are just varieties.
I went through probably about 5 different roasts, and I found that I really liked what the dark roast did to it. So it's a dark roast, and it's roasted by a local coffee roaster in Rochester. I can never remember the name of them, so so I would not be able to plug them right now. But the dark roast from them, and then even after I decided I wanted it to be a dark roast, I went ahead and tried 3 different varieties of their roasts before I chose the one that we settled on.
Wow, awesome. And is that going to be available on the Vino Shipper?
Yes. That's awesome. Actually available on Vino Shipper for New York shipping only, but that will be on there for December, yeah.
AJ, can you book me a flight to New York tonight? I got to go get me a bottle of that.
Right. I'll get right on that, JD.
That'll be one of the meats. That's actually the meat I'm going to make tomorrow as well.
Outstanding. Hey, we're talking to Bryan DeGraw from 810 Meadworks in Medina, New York tonight, Vicky and AJ. I mean, this is awesome. 8 months into this, and
10 months.
Outstanding. 10 months.
Actually 11, because end of next month is their 1-year anniversary.
Yeah, we opened on the last day of November. So normally I tell people we open in December.
So you're a Turkey Day meadery.
Nice.
Yeah, it's the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and the reason we chose that day is there's a big Christmas or holiday celebration that Medina throws every year for that. There's a parade. Last year there was 40 some odd floats in the parade, so it's just a good day to open up and get a lot of people through the doors and get them a taste of mead.
Oh yeah.
So we had, I would guess we had at least 700 people through the doors on that first day, and that was really great. The difficult thing for us was we set that as our opening date, and we had product finished. We had everything finished except that we did not have bottles. So, which was fine because then people had to come back. So people got samples and glasses the day of our opening, and then for 2 weeks we didn't have any bottles. We finally got them in, and were able to get some stuff bottled before Christmas. So we sold quite a bit of product in bottles last December. And that's more the reason why I tell people we opened in December, because, yeah, we opened and we got people trying some product, but it wasn't like we sold any bottles at that point.
Well, yeah, but I think that's really interesting, though. You took what could have been a disaster with 700 people moving through the store, and, oh, my God, we've got no bottles. And for a lot of people, that would have been a huge disaster. You turned it into a reason for them to come back. That's a marketing triumph.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. It worked out great, and that's one of those things where you lose sleep over it, and you're not sure what the heck's going to happen. But 3 weeks later, I shouldn't have lost any sleep. I should have just slept full nights, and everything would have been fine.
Well, that's when life hands you lemons, make lemonade kind of moment, and you did.
Yeah, and there's been so many times like that. As I do this more. There's less times where things that I originally thought would have been a disaster, I just let them go, and because you can't control something like that, so it's worth losing sleep over.
That's one thing I've learned in 20 years of running my own company is, if it looks like something's going to be horrible, weeping and wailing and gnashing your teeth rarely does anything to help, but you can often turn it into something that'll move you forward if you're willing to just step back and view it from a different direction, and that's what you guys did,
Yeah, and it was helpful too. I mean, we didn't even have bottles in hand. All of our still meads that come in 750, we put them in 750 clear, traditional wine bottles. They all have screen printed labels, and it was the screen printing that delayed us. So we had a ship date from the print company. So when people were here that first weekend and then the second weekend, we were able to tell them, hey, we're going to have bottles in hand in 2 weeks, and you can have a bottle in your hand in 2 weeks. So come back in 2 weeks and buy your bottles. So it worked out well that way for us.
That's nice. Are you able
to be able to tell a customer, hey, I don't have this today, but I will have it on this date. And if you can tell a customer that, then they know, all right, if I come back on that date or after, I'll get what I want. And that's really helpful too. If you don't have any idea, and then you tell a customer that, then it's just confusing to the customer, and I don't think that customer comes back.
Well, and if they like your stuff, most people are going to be pretty cool about that and say, hey, we totally get it. Not everything works out the way you want. And yeah, sure, we'll come back and buy a case, Yeah.
Yep.
So that's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So now, where do you guys see yourselves topping out in terms of number of offerings that you have at any given time? Do you have is there a plan for that, or are you still sort of feeling your way towards what that's going to be?
When we first opened, I thought it would be awesome if there was like 25 varieties. And now if you were to tell me that I needed to make 25 varieties, I'd probably punch you in the face, because there's only so many hours in a week, so that's not going to happen. I've settled around 12 to 15, and the 15 would be more on previous batches of stuff that we're running out of, while new batches of different things comes out. So really about 12 in production, or at least have deadlines for release dates and things like that at any given time. And there's really probably about 5 or 6 products that we will carry consistently, because those sell best.
So you're going to have your core, and then you're going to have seasonals and specials.
Yeah, or like we have this pomegranate. It's a pomegranate mead, Jewel of the Newell, that it's not a great seller, but there's some people who really love it. So I don't want to do away with it, because I value those customers, and that's some of those customers, that's all they buy. Mm-hmm. So at the same time, we just released an elderberry mead, wildflower honey, and it's delicious. It's very similar to the pomegranate, but it's got the earthiness of the elderberries versus the tart that the pomegranate has. Mm-hmm. And that one sells better, but it's going to kind of take the place of the pomegranate for a while. And then we'll make the pomegranate again, and when that batch comes out, whatever elderberry isn't available won't be available again until I sell through the pomegranate. So in that way, I don't know how many seasonal things we'll have. Definitely the Scarlet A and the Liquid Sunshine play off of each other seasonally, and more so because the Liquid Sunshine is it's lemonade, so it's summertime. It's what you really want to go with. And then the pineapple cucumber, we'll sell through whatever inventory we have of that right now, but we won't have probably any more of that available until April, when it warms back up. And that just makes better sense, because it does sell much better in the summertime. So there is a few seasonal things. We do have next month coming out is our maple tap, which is made with red clover honey, which has quite a bit of cinnamon note to it, which I really like. And then we have maple syrup, local maple syrup from Medina, and then cinnamon and nutmeg and vanilla added in secondary. So it is a spiced maple sweet mead that is just delicious. Will that be available in December when you come? Because I think I want some of that. We'll see how well it sells. We're going to release that 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. Oh, okay. If it sells very fast, I don't know how much will be available online or at all. If it just kind of goes at a moderate pace, then there'll be some available online. Okay. Well, I might have to get a hold of you directly and see what we can do about saving me a bottle of that. Sure. I'll be happy to buy a bottle. Yeah, her too. Oh, we got to figure out how to get it across the border into Canada.
Well, one of these days I have to get a passport and pick up my stuff from the. I have to pick up my stuff from Acuec, who's got my chocolate group brew. Oh, stuff. Well, it's only a 3-hour drive from Toronto. I don't know where you're at in Canada. I'm in Ottawa, but I've never had a passport. Yeah. We've been bugging her about it. Everybody's been bugging me about it. Yeah. She's not doing her job. I am doing my job. It's why I'm not getting a passport. That's why you don't have a passport, yeah. Well, I hate to ring the bell. Yeah, somebody's got to do it, though. I tell you, to start up a meadery, it sounds like a lot of work, and I've enjoyed listening to you, Bryan, and look forward to having you again on the show, pretty soon. I think you've got an amazing story out there, and I like the way that you have worked that Bible verse into your business process. It's just
kind of a unique thing, and I'm glad to hear about it.
Well, it was funny when you said that, because I was thinking we're on a mission for mead from God.
There you go.
It's like the Blues. It's like the Blues Brothers. We're on a mission from God. It's so funny. It just cracks me up. And I'm sure Jesus would totally go for that. Man liked his wine, right? I mean, he liked to have a drink of a time. So this is a good thing.
And 810 Meadworks, a small meadery in Medina, New York, has some big flavors they'd like you to try. 21 Bean Salute, and I got to get my hands on that. 21 Bean Salute offers the aroma of a rich, earthy, cold brew coffee with the sweetness of honey and creamy vanilla and liquid sunshine. You heard Bryan talking about that tonight. A carbonated lemon lavender mead made with wildflower honey and green tea. For more information about their tasting room and their mead list, you got to visit them, 810meadworks.com today. Vicky and AJ, we got to sign this guy up again here, maybe in about 3 or 4 months, and, check on 810 Meadworks, see how they're doing.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Bryan, thanks for joining us. Unfortunately, we've got to end this segment. We've got Ask Oscar, update on the pumpkin project coming up here.
The Linus Mead.
Yeah. So stick around. We got more coming. We'll see you in a bit.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, that was great having you on, Bri. Thanks.
HomebrewTalk.com, your absolute everything resource for brewing beer at home. Their forum covers recipes, brewing equipment, and help from member brewers. If you picked up your equipment today, you can start brewing tonight with everything you need to know at HomebrewTalk.com. Sign up today for as little as $4 a month and become a supporting member. HomebrewTalk.com, your absolute everything resource for brewing beer at home. Their forum covers recipes, brewing equipment, and help from member brewers. If you picked up your equipment today, you can start brewing tonight with everything you need to know at HomebrewTalk.com. Sign up today for as little as $4 a month and become a supporting member.
Known for the most amazing and creative alcoholic beverages made from honey, Bee Nectar is a worldwide sensation. Bee Nectar gives their fans a variety of options, from their famous Zombie Killer, a hard cider made with honey and cherries to kill all the golfers, a lightly carbonated draft mead made with black tea and lemon juice. Bee Nectar makes meads, ciders, and beers that extend beyond the traditional. They let their imaginations guide them. Learn more at BeeNectar.com. That's BeeNectar with a K.com. Bryan DeGraw from 810 Meadworks out there in Medina, New York. And, Vicky, the whole way he put his meadery together, and some of the flavors that he's working with, it's just one of those things that I just, you know what, I got to jump on a plane and go out there and check this guy out. I mean, it just sounds like a fantastic place.
Well, and I mean, if you go to New York, you could hang out in New York for a week and hit his different meadery every single day. There's a number of excellent meaderies in New York State. Yeah.
I was surprised, and I thought California was the only state that had wineries. But
look at this left coast snob we've got on the show here.
Oh yeah, totally.
God dang.
See, the best place in Ontario for wines is Niagara region, so I knew there was going to be some on the other side of the falls.
Exactly, yeah.
And
there's the whole Finger Lake. I mean, that's an excellent place for growing wine grapes.
Yeah.
And Pete has joined us. Ask Oscar, which we'll get to here in just a minute. But right now, let's do the pumpkin pie.
First it's the Great Pumpkin, J.D. Webb.
The Great Pumpkin. We've been following
say
this.
That all day.
We've been following this here now since its inception a few weeks back, and it started out with 30 pounds of various pumpkins and sweet potatoes, That all reduced down to 13 pounds of roasted product, which I'm finding now, guys, just is not enough. I thought 30 pounds was like way overboard. It's clearly not enough, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. We started out with a gravity at 1.136, so our intention was to have it end, on the sweet side. Right now, we're at 1.040, and that's as of about a half hour before we started the show tonight. We used the D21 yeast, so it's something new to me. I've never used that yeast before, so I'm hoping that it's all going to come together nicely. Right now, I think though I'm looking for a miracle.
Well, it's a good thing that you've got Miracle Max. I mean, Pete on the line.
Yeah. Well, he's been.
Well, the good news is he's only mostly dead. He's not totally dead.
Which means he's still a little bit alive.
Yeah, all we need is an apocalypse. What is it? Apocalypse code? No. and why did you tell us we had a wheelbarrow?
Thank God for Pete. I mean, he's been very instrumental, in my mead making experience here. And, greatly appreciated with all the help that he's given me on this particular special project. And, of course, my traditional. Fermentation has slowed down considerably. Of course, we're approaching the end of the fermentation. And I pulled the product out a while back because I just didn't think any more flavor could possibly come out of it. And I took a big old spoonful of it and ate it, and it was completely flavorless, which was surprising. So, I mean, it would not have even been good to make jams or jellies out of. Right now, it's, and this is maybe where I'm looking for the miracle. And I've already talked to Pete about, what to do about the pumpkin taste. But right now what I'm experiencing is a very tart taste. And this may be coming from, one, the apple. Apples have a natural tartness to them to begin with. And of course, remember, we used 5 gallons of fresh pressed apple juice. And plus the addition of 308 grams of acid when the pH...
Bing, 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 hello.
Yeah.
We have our tartness.
Yeah. And so I understand the need for tartness, but I don't know. I mean, how tart is it supposed to be, And the pH right now...
Well, that depends.
Well, it depends on what?
It depends on how sweet it's going to stay and how much it actually balances out the sweetness and how much the sweetness cuts into the tart from the... You used a combination of malic and tartaric. You did, right?
Yeah. Okay. The sweetness, now we started out, I have learned, I don't pay that much attention to poundage anymore as much as I do the hydrometer. But it was somewhere around 16 or 17 pounds of mesquite honey that we used. Because remember, we started out with the fresh pressed apple juice, and the gravity of that alone, I believe, was at 1.058. I don't have my notes, all of my notes up here in front of me, but so you're starting out at that level anyway. So the additional honey. 16 pounds for a 5 gallon, actually a 6 gallon batch. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it took us to 1.136 where we wanted to start. So,
right, and that's all fine. And one of the things you can do actually is if the must is down to a point of where you don't consider it sweet enough with that tartness cutting into it, you can actually add in that surplus apple juice that you kept, which is going to be at 1.058. So that'll bring the sweetness up a little bit as well as bringing some more of that malic acid creaminess to it rather than the real sharpness that's in there. So
yeah, and that may be. No, I'm kind of anticipating doing that when we rack over to the glass 6 gallon. I know that it's going to be quite a bit of sediment as well. So would it be safe to do it at that?
Yeah, we were talking about you can rack through a paper filter if you want to help get some of that out, or layered cheesecloth or whatever to help mitigate some of the sediment that's going in there. But what I'd say is just go ahead and put your juice right into the other one without doing anything. Just rack your juice into the carboy, and then rack your meat on top of it, and get it, crank the temperature control way down on it to as cold as you can get it without freezing it, and that'll help settle it. We used pectic in this, didn't we? Lalazyme?
Yes. The Lalazyme at the very beginning for little over 24 hours. Okay,
great. So that will ensure that it clears on its own rather than having to find it or filter it as well. Now, the pumpkin taste, just like the honey flavor in dry meads, will come charging back after a time, after some aging. Right now it's gone through, the scrubbing of fermentation. And so a lot of those post-esterification and post-fermentation flavors are still kind of pervading rather than displaying the flavor of the pumpkin and some of the other elements that are giving you different complexity, sweet kind of characters. So after it ages and goes through polymerization and élevage, it should start coming on back. I've had dry meads take as long as 3-4 years for the honey flavor to pop back into them, and then it comes running on back. And I think I've told the story before. I took just a bone dry mead over to a friend's house, and he and his sister tasted it, and he said, "Oh, this is sweet." His sister said, "No, it's dry, but it tastes like honey. That's why you think it's sweet." And so it just takes time sometimes.
Yeah. Do you think that, Pete, he's going to, I noticed JD said earlier that a lot of the pumpkin flavor is gone. It's a mild flavor to begin with, but do you think that he's going to have a residual on that, or will he need to bring it back in the secondary? What do you think?
Well, that's what I was just alluding to. The longer it sits, the more that pumpkin flavor is going to come back up.
Oh, okay.
So before I make any adjustments, I'd go ahead and let it sit a year in bulk, and then taste it and see if that pumpkin flavor's come back. If it hasn't, then you can always rack onto some, pumpkin juice that you make. Just, take, you can use, candied yams, a little bit of pumpkin, put those in a slow cooker on low and let them go overnight and decant the juice into there in a concentrated flavor, and that'll help bring it up.
Good idea. Okay. So I'm not looking for a miracle yet, then.
Well, he is Miracle Max.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the, it's just one of these. I mean, I go through this, and this is part of my daily routine. I mean, I get up in the morning, and I've got my little notes on my desk, and this is what I do. So, one of them is to work on this pumpkin mead, and daily it gets stirred, the pH gets checked, the whole 9 yards. And of course, a little bit, about a quarter of a cup or so goes into a little glass, and I drink it. And I try to study it, and I'm looking for flavors, and it just started taking on this tartness after I almost freaked out because the pH went like out of whack, and I kept putting this tartaric and the malic acid in, and I'm thinking, boy, this is tasting more like pumpkin lemonade now. So maybe that's going to go away in time, and I certainly am not looking to drink this next month. Okay, I fully expected this thing to sit and age. Kind of looking forward to a glass with Thanksgiving dinner next year. So, I by this discussion, guys, I think I'm safe here, right? AJ?
Yeah, and also you can, the tartness can be mitigated too by adding some, potassium bicarbonate to take some of the edge off of that tartness to mellow it down a little bit. At this point, with the cider, with the honey, with the alcohol, and with the other esters, post fermentation that are still kind of blooming, that will help to mitigate it and make it less tart. And kind of bring up some of that flavor. It'll still stay bright, but it won't be bitey bright.
Yeah.
This is what I call, when I'm judging, I can generally tell when people have been a little bit too heavy-handed with, I won't say a little bit, I'll just say obvious with the acid additions. It kind of feels like somebody's got like a million little pins and they're sticking your tongue with them. And
not quite that, not quite that bad yet.
Yeah, and those are what I call palate wrenchers. It's just like it hits your tongue and the inside of your mouth, and I'm ruined for about 5 minutes after that. I have to get up and walk around and take some water and find some milk or something like that to calm that down, because that really does a number on my palate. And I love acidic stuff. I mean, if I'm gonna drink a red wine, it's gonna be a big acid bomb. If I'm gonna drink a white wine, it's gonna be Chablis or Gewürz or something like that. It's got some spice and some character to it, plenty of bracing acid and lots of mineral.
Yeah.
And but I like the stuff. But with the additions, it's a little different, because that's a chemical that you're adding. No, not really a chemical. It's just condensed acid, but still it has an effect. It's different than just the ambient acidity you get from the fruit, from the honey, from the additions that you've made of other ingredients that are a little more organic.
Right.
And then
and the fermentation produces some acid too, right?
Yep. Acid and sulfite. So that's why you have to be very careful when you're picking certain types of yeast. If you're making Chardonnay or even a red wine that you're planning on putting through malolactic fermentation, if they produce high amounts of sulfite, over 30 parts per million, up to 50 parts per million. There's even some Côte du Rhône yeast that produce up to 225 million parts per million, of sulfite. You're not going to be able to do MLF at that point. So you have to be, aware of, the yeast itself, whether it's, whether it has high nutrient needs or not, and if it's not getting its nutrient needs, what level of sulfite it produces, and that'll kind of dictate whether or not you should actually use that yeast.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so no miracles needed at this point. I'm glad of that. And, for those of you who are listening and following along with this pumpkin project, I'm putting all my notes, my daily notes on there's a blog. If you go to the GotMead.com forum and click on blog up there. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Does everybody have access to that, Vicki?
Everybody can see it. Only patrons can have one.
Okay. So, but I mean, everybody can see it. I mean, that's the thing. So,
I'm pretty sure everybody can see it. Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's entitled JD's Pumpkin Project, as heard on GotMead Live. So, I mean, if you're curious as to, what's going on with this pumpkin project, and it is just that. It's just a project, something that I wanted to do, make it a part of the show, community-wide type of thing. And feel free to leave comments, on the blog. I believe you can comment on it there on the blog. And, I just wanted to see where this thing was going to go. And I fully intend on going back to my traditional. In fact, I've just, putting my plans together for my next traditional, doing some thinking, some reading about different yeasts and whatnot. So I'm out.
Pete, I think you should start calling him Grasshopper and make him lay rice paper on the floor in front of his mead, project, so that when he can walk across the rice paper and stir his mead and not drip and leave no footprints, then he will be then he will be closer to being a master. A Shaolin priest. There we go.
When you can carve a jack-o'-lantern and have no gut on your hand, you will have learned.
Honey on, honey off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you can pick up a 5-gallon bucket of mead or a 5-gallon bucket of honey with your teeth, then.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, just don't do I just won't get into doing that stork thing, standing on the tree stump thing, but
totally different thing. Totally different. Completely different discipline. Yeah. You're messing it up. Yeah.
So,
You've
all
just
right.
Miyagi'd, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll send Pete over there to slap you upside the head, you know.
This is how crazy it gets on GotMead Live, the later it gets in the show. But let's go ahead and move on into Ask Oscar.
Oh, goody. I've got a question from Hamish for him.
Yeah, this is your chance. This is a real privilege to have Oscar on live. So grab your phone, 818-921-4680. We'll start stacking the calls up as they come in. But, Vicki, you said you had a question from Hamish.
Yeah, he was going to call in, but then his boss walked back into the office. And he's like, damn. So he's proposing more of he'd like your input, ideas, and opinion around. It's not so much a question as this is what he understands things to be, and what are your thoughts? So just that being a preface to that. And he says, I've written it in a school English exam style, so I'll go ahead and read it out that way, just because I think it reads kind of interesting as well. It says, it is said that 7,1-B cannot be left on the lees due to off flavors from autolysis. Autolysis is not, quote, death of yeast, unquote. It is defined as yeast digesting dead or dying cells. Michael Fairbrother of Moonlight Meadery says he leaves 7,1-B on the leaves for months at a time with no issue. I have a hypothesis. Autolysis is the digestion of dead or dying yeast cells by other yeast cells. Autolysis would typically happen once the nutrients have run out, so the yeast are also stressed. Now, when we feed appropriately, the yeast pass out happy with a full belly and drunk as a skunk. English exam, awesome, this is how in Australia they do English exam questions, so just saying. They don't need to eat the broken down 7,1-B cells in order to continue consuming sugars, because either the sugar is gone or the alcohol is too high. Thus, this is not a modern problem, but a problem we're remembering from days gone by. And then he says, discuss. So, your thoughts?
You're spending way too much time worrying about yeast autolysis, dude.
Gosh, and I was getting ready to get AJ and go to Australia.
Yeah, no, well, he's so funny. He's like, I really, really wanted to have a question asked, so, you know.
Yeah, well, the thing is here that different yeasts will react differently in different recipes. I've got a recipe that I made at the cherry sizer that I left on the gross lees. Okay, this is like, if I remember right, I used D47 yeast in that one, and it sat on the gross lees for a year with the problems. I've had other stuff that I've left on 7,1-B, for about 4 months, 5 months, and I started picking up the wrong kind of flavors and got off of it. It's really how you make the mead and how the yeast reacts to the environment that you have it in. Sometimes you have to play around with it a little bit. In most cases, 7,1-D is a very vigorous fermenter and moves very quickly. But in musts that are higher in fructose than they are in glucose, because remember, most Saccharomyces cerevisiae yeast are glucophilic rather than fructophilic. They prefer glucose over fructose, and you will see in winemaking, and I suspect in stalled fermentations and mead making as well, that there is a higher level of fructose at the point where the must stalls the fermentation than there is glucose. And this has, been published in a number of different papers, and there's actually a study that's been done on the different yeast and how they do in the presence of higher levels of fructose as opposed to higher levels of glucose. Uvaferm 43 was the best performer. 7,1-B was dead last in the field of about 20. So but that's not the bottom line. Each honey is going to have different nutrients. Each honey is going to have different nitrogen and ash content and mineralic content. So yeasts aren't going to react the same in different kinds of honey, and that makes them somewhat unpredictable unless you have made the same recipe over and over and over, which, throttling all the way back to the beginning show where I'm talking about making the same mead over and over and over again. That's another aspect of it, is not only getting your technique down and learning how to make mead so you can reproduce the results, it's getting to know the yeast and how it reacts with the particular type of honey you're using. 7-1-B is going to ferment differently in orange blossom and tupelo and mesquite. It's going to ferment differently in West Coast buckwheat and macadamia nut and avocado honey. 3 light honeys, 3 dark honeys. How's it going to turn out? Who the hell knows? The only way to find out is to do it, and then do it again and again and again and again until 7-1-B is appropriate for these 3 honeys, as long as you don't leave it on the lees. But if you leave it on the lees after about 3 or 4 months, guess what? It's going to taste terrible. But with the darker honeys, you leave it on the lees, and guess what? It actually complements the type of honey that you're using and the astringency that comes with that dark honey, and it kind of plays together and works out really well. So the only way to really know that, Hamish, is to sit down, get yourself some different honeys, and try different yeasts. If you're hell-bent on using 7-1-B, go for it. I don't really want to work that much. I'm going to go with something like D254 or D47 or CY3079. Even K1B is good for that. But, 7-1-B is a great fermenter. I don't prefer it on lees, but I don't know the recipe that you're referring to. I don't know the chemistry of it. I don't know how it's being applied. I don't know what kind of honey. I don't know how long it's being aged. I don't know how it's being adjusted or what other additions there are to it. So to be able to say it's this, or this is, I'd just be guessing, and I try not to do that. If you want me to speculate, I'd say he's probably got a combination of honey and other ingredients in there that work well with that particular yeast on the lees. If it's just straight up honey sitting on the lees in that recipe, I'd be kind of doubtful that after 5, 6, 7 months, it's not going to leave some kind of an impression on it. But if it does, hey, more power to them. But, that's not something that we can sit and kind of like puzzle out chemically without knowing all of the ingredients and all of the environment and, all of the different aspects of what's gone into that mead and why it works.
Wow.
All right. Hamish came back and said, so autolysis is still a modern issue then? And he said he's answering the standard statement of 7-1-B is bad for gross lees.
I don't get what he's saying about modern issue.
Well, basically, he says that he hears a lot of people claiming that this is a fact, but he's not so sure. So he was wondering what you thought.
Autolysis is a fact. That's inarguable. I don't know. I honestly don't know what to say to that. It's kind of like a huh.
I think he was theorizing.
Autolysis. Go ahead.
I think he was theorizing that it's less of a problem now that we've got nutrients and that we understand fermentation a little bit better. I think that was the point. Is it less of an issue now?
The off flavor that it imparts? Yeah.
But personally, I broke up with 7-1-B after it ruined one batch too many because I left it on the lees because I'm lazy.
You're right. And that's been my experience too. There's times when you just kind of look at it, day after day and go like, do I really want to do anything to this?
Yeah. Well, in my case, it's more like I've got to do this and this and this before I can get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine is more like crap. That needed racked a week ago and I haven't had a chance to do it, kind of thing.
I need to rack this, but the carbo I'm going to put it into is still full. Crap.
Right, yeah.
I guess I'm washing bottles.
Yeah, exactly.
So
autolysis is always going to be an issue, and the off flavors that autolysis produces is going to be an issue. Whether people want to look at it and go, "Hey, this is a historical issue or a modern issue," that's an argument I'm not going to get into because I don't know. Yeast autolyze. There's the autolysis of yeast. That's a chemical fact. That's a yeast fact, and that part of it's inarguable. Now, the degree of influence it has on the flavor or off flavor of the mead that you're producing, there are environmental and ingredient issues that will mitigate or magnify it. That would be my position on autolysis.
So, Hamish, Pete's phone number is 1310.
Because Pete's got so much free time, you know.
Yeah. Here, talk to Ralph. I'll be busy for a while.
Oh. Well, I did come with a list of questions just in case.
Of course you did.
Well,
818.
Vicky, do you ever read the mail that I send you before the show?
Yeah, I usually do. Did you send me mail before the show today? I didn't see any.
Of course.
You did? Oh, there it is. Oh, I see one new submission.
Give us a call if you got a question, 818-921-4680. This is a unique opportunity. Ask Oscar here with us live. So take advantage of that while you can. But what did you get?
There it is.
What did you get from
Okay, I've got it right here. Yeah, sorry, I was buried neck deep in some other non-mead related things all day. So, okay, somebody sent in a question. Dan R. on the GotMead forum, Dan Rosenberg. Hi, Dan. And he says, I just listened to last week's podcast in which there was a discussion of competition entries and in which JD mentioned he was making Pete's recipe for an oaked orange blossom mead. It made me wonder what the etiquette is regarding submitting a mead made with someone else's recipe. For example, would it be okay for JD to submit his mead to the Mazer Cup? If so, is there a way that credit should be given to the Mazer who developed the recipe? The sentence isn't written, but basically, should you give credit to the person who developed the recipe?
Is this like ESP or what?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is you know what? I got basically instructions from Pete to send this thing into the Mazer Cup. And I wrote back and I said, nope,
and $1 Pete at their peril.
This is not my mead. This is your recipe. And I think he was quite taken aback by that because he immediately came back and says, no, it's your deal, different honey, this, that, and the other thing. But, yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. So go ahead.
Yeah, it's, that's the thing. That's when you have a collection of recipes out there in the patron section and even in the public section, people are going to read that and go, hey, that sounds pretty cool. I gotta try that. And even if you make the recipe the exact same way, it's in a different place, in a different container by a different mead maker, sometimes with a different yeast, different, fermentation management, all of the different levels of that. And that's just at the ingredient level. And we're not talking about, the skill level or the, if they have the technique down or not. And so when people are inspired to try a recipe because it looks interesting and it may have won an award or something like that, that's the whole idea of sharing recipes. It's to inspire other people to do great things by improvising on, modifying of, or taking a recipe and turning it on its head and trying something different with it. And to me, there's no greater compliment than somebody going out, take one of my recipes and says, hell, that looks great. Let me give that a try. And then they come up with something that kicks its ass. That makes me feel even better because it's a solid base recipe and somebody had the wherewithal to go out and take hold of it and run with it and take it to the next level. To me, that's what mead making is all about. Vicky asked me a long time ago, she goes, what about this? What about the way that you make mead? What do you want? What's the ultimate goal of you making mead and sharing all this? And I go, the ultimate goal for me is to get everybody making mead the same way I do or better than I do, so I don't have to make it anymore, and they just send it to me once,
Yeah. and then you get to sit around and drink it, I mean, that's...
Exactly, and I don't have to make it anymore. I can just sit around and enjoy the fruits of my labor.
Somehow I don't...
Mead party, Pete's house this weekend.
Yeah, somehow, even if that ever happened, I just can't quite see you sitting back on your laurels and just drinking mead and not making anymore, but that's just me,
That was pretty much the response I got back from Pete in a nutshell, and it kind of eased my mind because I had the same quandary, thinking that, dude, this is yours. This is something you were, took pride in.
No, it's when another mead maker takes a recipe that somebody else put out there for the edification and interest of fellow mead makers like Pete, like you, like me, like AJ, we're putting it out there in the hopes that others will find it interesting. and maybe make it and stuff like that. And that's cool. That's spreading the love. Now, if somebody came along, joined as a patron, took Pete's cherry sizer recipe, and suddenly we see it being sold by a large meadery, that not so much. I mean, that's a different thing, because then you want to be taking that back to the person who invented that recipe and say, hey, get permission at the very least. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but how many degrees of difference do you have to get before it's not the recipe anymore? I mean, I got a friend who works in patents, and it's amazing just how close you can come without infringing.
Yeah, and true, very true.
Yeah, exactly.
The legalities of it, yeah, you're right. But I believe, just from a common courtesy and fellow mead maker about town, yada, 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 personally, I couldn't sleep at night if I hadn't gotten in touch with that person and say, hey, I love, Pete, what you've done with this cherry sizer. I think it's effing amazing, and I would really love to have this be a publicly made mead at my meadery. What are your thoughts? And at least get the feedback and input of that person, rather than just snake it and have it turn up somewhere and have them get slapped in the face with it. That's just me.
Yeah, I think that's a good approach, and you can put down, and I've worked with a couple of breweries, and we've done stuff that are kind of knockoffs of things that we've done, and they've been very good about on either on the label or when it's poured for the first time in the tap room, giving some credit to the kind of influence that I had on it. And, I think the thing that mead makers have to realize is that people are going to draw inspiration from everywhere and anywhere at the same time, and I think that's going to happen naturally. And I think it is a common courtesy to go ahead and acknowledge that, whether it's a commercial mead or a homemade mead.
Yeah.
If it's somebody that's a commercial mead that's going to be selling it and making a profit on it and just steals it outright and lies through their teeth and says that they didn't, get this recipe from somewhere else, when it's obviously a complete knockoff of it.
And that has happened.
But it's another thing. Yeah, and we've seen that happen here and there. But honestly, it's out in the public eye. So, just be out there, be happy that it influenced somebody, and be happy that it's going out there into commercial mead makers that are out there and getting influenced by it. I'd say, hey, give the folks that the recipe you saw that it came from, give them a nod and move on. I think they'll be happy to get the nod. You'll be happy with the response of the public to your product, and everybody will be really happy in the long run.
Yeah,
the community.
But I don't think there's
Dan, you started a lively discussion. Thank you for asking the question.
There's a sense of community out there too within the community, because I'm going to take you back to I don't remember, it wasn't last, it might have been the week before, 2 weeks ago on the show. I ran across a post in the forum about somebody asking how what they thought the ingredients were in this mead made by Michael Fairbrother at Blue Light Meadery. And I mean, it wasn't long. Michael came right back and
said, "This is what's in it."
Yeah, basically told him how to. This is it. This is what's in it. And I thought that was, very kind of him. So
Michael is very involved in the community, and that's something that's he's like the rest of us that are out there trying to see this move forward, that he wants to see mead become the common thing. So it's, and I think it's really cool he does that. Not a lot of professional beverage makers will do that. Yeah. Beer, mead, cider, whatever,
Yeah, that was pretty friggin' awesome. That really was.
It really was, yeah. But Dan,
that's the whole thing. It's like a take-home test. If you don't know the subject matter, having all the books around you isn't going to make a difference. But getting an idea from somebody, if you've done some things and you have a good grasp of what it is you're working with, and Michael coming back with the ingredient list, it still doesn't put him at risk, because it's great, because the mead maker is going to go, oh, that's what I was missing. And they have their own version of it and they love it. It's great publicity for him. It's great for the mead community, and it inspires everybody to do bigger and better things with mead. Yeah. And, I really got to compliment Michael for coming back and doing that. That's a great thing. And I wish it were more commonplace in the mead industry. There seems to be this little, crouching over the table and wrapping your arms around things.
Yeah, for everything from recipes to production levels. It's crazy. I don't know why it's like that, but I think it's also changing.
Well, that's because it's small, and people people aren't seeing, past the, hey, I'm trying to make a profit here and I'm trying to keep in business, which is totally understandable. But at the same time, there has to be a point where you take a step back and say, yeah, you know what, we need to get all this kind of stuff together and out there so that other people who are starting up can be successful too. Craft beer has been that way. Even the big beer makers, when they were starting out, were that way. Wineries are that way. Hell, wine is probably one of the most incestuous product production kind of businesses there are. I mean, everybody is using everybody else's juice in these things. Yeah. So at some point, the mead industry is going to get to that level, and when they can see past, making the house payment and keeping the doors open on the meadery. Yeah, I think we'll get there. I think we're turning in that direction now, and certainly participation from Michael and some of the other big meaderies out there, B Nectar, and the people that are gaining ground and becoming more and more popular. Schramm's Mead and long-established guys like Mike Fall and Sky River and international guys, Monroe and Intermeal. They're all contributing to that. And as the community draws more and more close over the course of the globe, I think we're going to see more and more people being more and more open with their, everything from, formulation to, production.
Yeah. Well, and that pulling together is what really helped the craft beer industry launch itself as well as it did. So I think that you're right. I think we're coming to a place where we're going to be that way too. It's just taking us a little while, but I think we'll get there. Dan Rosenberg, because you sparked a conversation that wandered all over everywhere. In answer to your question, if you have a mead that you like to enter in the Mazer Cup or any other mead competition, and it's based on somebody else's recipe, certainly if you wish, you can let that person know that you're doing a variation on it and thank them for a great recipe. But it is not necessary for you to mention that in the competition notes.
Yeah, and if you want to, just put, this is my version of Oscar's, 4 dead cats and a cup of goat cheese.
I wondered what that off flavor was in that last. Oh my God.
Well, at least inspired by. I mean, that's what's going to be on my label when I submit my.
Well, and I think that's great. It's an homage to to the things that are good. I mean, it's the same as people who do the knockoffs and you look at all the beer books that are out there. Here's how to make.
And Wayne B's variation on Ken's.
Well, that, for that reason, that's why I don't brew beer at home, because I already know somebody else is making it. So I don't need to be, trying to duplicate what somebody else has already perfected,
Yeah, and, other things too, like a clever name of the mead that you're making. For instance, Ken, in his book, The Complete Mead Maker, had one that caught my eye. It was called Fall's Bounty Sizer.
Yeah,
and
I love
so
that one.
I named mine Mutiny on the Bounty.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else made one that was based on yours and called it something else and called it something similar.
Mutiny on the Bounty. Yeah, exactly.
Wayne B or something, maybe. Yeah.
I think that's really great.
It's like naming dogs.
Things like that tickle me.
You pull the you keep that thread going so that there's a commonality there. Well, Chris from Mississippi is doing what he calls his poor man's Heart of Darkness.
There you go.
Yeah, and I haven't tasted it yet, but I did what was it? Apple of my chai. Someone came up with that one.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I tried that recipe, and as soon as I get around to digging it out of the back of the closet and tasting it, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I do.
If we had if we had got
the HUD approach to HOD.
If we had GotMead Live T-shirts made up, we could probably offer one as a prize of whoever came up with the best name for a label.
Is that a hint?
Yeah.
Subtle hint.
I'll put that on the list, right?
Put that on the budget.
Yeah. So that's actually something. One of the things that I'm planning on getting is buying a large box of honey flavor wheels to sell on GotMead. So I would love to do some T-shirts. One of the things that's been holding it back is before I was doing it on Cafe Press, and as most people are aware, Cafe Press shirts are kind of cheap and crappy. So I've been looking for. There's no real reliable or high quality way of doing on-demand printing. So what I'm looking to do is pull together enough budget money to actually have shirts made and sell them right out of here. So, that's definitely something that's on the list, but it's a funding thing that I've got to rectify first. So
Kickstarter, here we come.
I thought about that. Don't think I didn't think about that. Actually, there's like a Kickstarter shirt thing where you can go in and say, here's this way cool shirt we made. If you want one, order it now. And when we hit X shirts, everybody gets one. It's like Kickstarter, but for shirts. It's kind of cool.
Hey, I've seen stranger things on Kickstarter programs for sure, but I thought. But, I believe.
I thought about it, but I need before I would feel comfortable doing that, knowing that I was making the best use of the donations that people might give us. I would have to have a really firm plan on what I wanted to do going forward so they could see the benefits of their investments.
We've got Chris on the line from Mississippi, and I'm sure he's got a burning question for Oscar, something along the lines of if he has a good barbecue sauce recipe. How you doing?
You really want some of my barbecue, don't you, JD?
Yeah, hell yeah.
He doesn't know what he's asking for. Chris, he doesn't know what he's asking for. This is Southern barbecue. They think barbecue is something... Stuff. Yeah, well, and they think barbecue is what you do, not what you eat.
No. It's all of the above. It's a lifestyle.
And but they think you go out and barbecue ribs, not eat barbecued ribs. They don't get it.
But with all my meat equipment, everything I do is vinegar based, so I have to be careful.
That's perfect. I love vinegar.
Even your meat. No, my barbecue.
Yeah, they like their vinegar. The Southeast has a lot of vinegar.
You mentioned my poor man's Heart of Darkness. I just wanted to go ahead and make it official. It is going to be called the Heart Murmur.
Perfect. That's great. That's perfect.
Send him a teaser.
And it is. And it fits along with everything you've been talking about. It was made with 71B, and it was stolen from somebody else, and the whole 9 yards. And it's got a lot of tartness to it, so it'll be in the Mazer Cup for sure.
Right on.
The wife and I are heading out to North Carolina probably sometime next April or May. I just might stop over in Mississippi on the way.
Let me know, and we'll put a hog in the ground.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, I didn't have a question. I just wanted to make the title official and check in because I wouldn't feel right if I didn't call in if I missed a week.
There wouldn't be a show without you, Chris. We're just going to have to start getting you on for your own bit in the show.
Well, I don't want to, I'm worried about the fame because, you get overnight fame and next thing you know, you're in the Inquirer and you're having plastic surgery and a sex change.
Your head.
We're only
and then you're living with porn stars and.
That's only JD.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with porn stars.
Indeed, yeah. It's that California thing. You know how crazy they are out there.
Yeah, but it just never turns out well, so I'm keeping my fame down to a manageable level.
Oh God.
But anyway, I just wanted to say hi to everybody.
All right.
Yeah, and I got my session mead recipe posted in the mead log that we mentioned last week. Anybody wants to give it a try? It's real light flavored, but it's delicious. So it's a multi-berry, carved up to about 3 volumes, and stole that one from Kurt Stock. And
Kurt makes awesome meads.
Yeah, he does some good ones. Yeah. So anyway, just wanted to say hello to everybody, and I'll get the recipe for the Heart Murmur posted soon because it looks like it's going to be a success. I was holding off to see how it was going to taste. I didn't want to post a bad recipe, but another couple of weeks I'll know for sure, and we'll get it posted up, and maybe everybody can make it along with me.
Awesome.
Cool.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Appreciate the call, Chris.
All right.
Yeah,
Good
y'all
to hear
take
from
care.
you. You too.
From Mississippi calling in here. He's right. I mean, it just wouldn't be a show without Chris calling.
That's right. Yeah. I've got another Oscar-approved question here, and this one's from Bernard Smith, who's also Bernard Smith on the forum. Hi, Bernard. He says, "Is there a really good and proven method for developing an ability to identify the flavors and aromas in mead and wines? That some yeasts produce peppery notes and some meads seem to contain banana or blackcurrant flavors, while certain honeys are known for their butter or nutty flavor, presumably requires folk to have developed a palate educated enough to identify flavors and aromas blind. If that is a skill, how do they master it? I think developing such a skill would improve my mead making."
Practice, practice, practice.
Well, that was easy.
Go out, taste a bunch of wine, taste a bunch of mead, taste a bunch of honey, write your notes to yourself, go on to the Honey and Pollination Center website at the Robert Mondavi Institute on the UC Davis campus. They have a honey aroma wheel. Get one of those. Grab yourself a bunch of different honeys and start tasting and start making notes.
Yeah, we're going to actually be selling those on GotMead soon. So if you don't get it before we do, you'll get it too.
One of the things that I do when I taste my meads, I used to just put some in a glass and drink it down, and I think, well, if it tastes good, fine. If it doesn't, then pour it down the drain or give it to my neighbor. But the more I get into this thing, I started working with Pete on this traditional thing that I'm going to, and this is like the one that I'm really babying along. He really wanted it to be successful. I started tasting my mead a little differently. I'm thinking more about what's in it. And as I taste it, I'm thinking about the orange blossom honey. I'm thinking about, the piece of oak that I dropped into it here a week and a half ago. And I'm paying more attention to even the pumpkin, really thinking and putting some conscious thought into the ingredients that went into it, thinking about what those flavors, what they represent, and what the mead tastes like in my mouth. And I mean, that's what I mean. I'm like, who was it? Bernard Smith. I am not a wine connoisseur. I like good wines, but I'm not a wine connoisseur. I have no idea what a really good wine tastes like versus one that comes in a box, Pete. So, but I do know what tastes good in my mouth. And,
hey,
if it tastes good, it tastes good. If it tastes bad, it tastes bad. I mean, to me, it's that simple. But while I'm tasting it, I'm thinking about what's in it.
One of the probably, and at least for me, one of the most difficult things that I've run into in this journey of learning how to discern flavors and, figuring out what it is as well as whether or not it's desirable. And I've been fortunate to have had excellent teachers. Pete has coached me. My very first time judging, I was with, thank God, Ken Schramm, who's the most patient man on the planet. Pete would have thumped me on the head long before, with all the stupid questions I was asking. But at any rate, though, over the last 15 years, as I've been learning that, one of the hardest things for me to do is to divorce my like from what I taste, because I know what I like, and okay, I like semi-sweet meads. I like melomels. I like metheglins. I like this or that flavor. I don't like prickly pear. I can't stand it. I don't like the kind of mead that it makes, but I have to judge it. So how do you so you've got to learn how do you judge something that you don't even like? So you have to be able to sort of pull that out of the equation. And that's, to me, has been the most difficult part of this journey, is to keep that at bay.
Yeah.
For me, one of the things that I had to do, I wanted to make beer, but I didn't know what I liked or didn't like about beer because I'm kind of picky with beers. And so you can actually read it on GotMead. On the forum, it's how do you figure out what you like in a beer? And it's a rather long post now. But I had to learn how to taste critically, even when there were things I didn't like. I was trying to figure out what it was I didn't like and whether there were elements in there that I did. Or, whether the whole thing was trash, or whether, if this was less bitter, would I like the spicing, that type of thing.
Pete,
right, and
I was just gonna suggest that Pete talk a little bit about the sensory evaluation class you do at the Mazer Cup.
Oh, well, yeah, we do those the night before we pop into the commercial competition, and basically it's just kind of like a tune-up for the folks that are going to be judging or are interested in getting kind of like a brief primer into tasting and working your sensory and olfactory, your taste buds and everything else. It's basically just how to creep up on a glass of mead and how to get as much of it out as you can, without going over the top and diagramming out the regions on the tongue that taste different flavors and so on and so forth. But basically, learning how to smell a wine. There's different kind of aromas that you get from different proximities to the wine. It's the wine, the mead reacts differently when you jostle it as opposed to swirling it. The color, how it coats the glass, how it feels in the glass. Is it light? Is it heavy? How it looks in the glass. Is it oily? Is it glyceric? Is it thin and watery? Does it have body to it? Does it coat the glass well and start developing tears or legs very quickly? What color is it? Is it a piment? Does it have the wine grape color to it? Is it a dark honey that has a deep amber color to it? Is it a mystery mead? You don't know what it is and it looks really weird, but it tastes really good. So it's really about taking a step back and taking in all of the sensory inputs that you get everywhere from, your sense of sight, your sense of smell, your sense of taste, your sense of feel, temperature, aromas, how it affects your mouth. Does it prickle in your mouth? Is it foamy? Is it smooth? Is it creamy? Does it taste like, citrus or earthy? Is it effervescent? Does it run across the palate like silk, or does it rasp across it like sandpaper? Does it make your teeth stick to your gums and your lips? Is it astringent? Is it hot? Is there a lot of alcohol in it? Does it burn the tip of your tongue and all the way through? Those are the kind of things that you really need to be looking for. All of the different aspects. Work it, like mouthwash. Run it around all over inside your mouth. Pull some air over it and do it again. Tilt your head down and pull some air over it. If you keep your head up and you pull air over it, you tend to choke yourself because of the alcohol, the evaporative quality of alcohol, pulling that in, and then little bits of that stuff going and hitting you in the back of the throat, and you're like, you don't want to be doing that too much. So
that sounds like the bottle of 80 proof of that.
Yeah. I like that Wild Turkey 101. Give me a little burn on the way down.
I use 151 for the Christmas rum balls.
There you go. Oh, there you go.
Perfect.
So our question then from, I've got it on the next question, which came in here from Bernard. So, Bernard, the way to do this is to do it, to taste honeys and notice the flavors. And like Pete said, get the honey wheel from UC Davis and use that to help you identify the flavors that you find in tasting these things. Go to competitions and volunteer to judge. Many of the competitions do this. I can't say for sure which ones they'll do it, but I know for a fact that we at the Mazer Cup do it. Many of our judges basically come up through the ranks. They start with pouring and serving at the competition and are often asked to sit at table and participate in the discussion so that they can learn to identify these flavors. And then those people will eventually become judges themselves. It's how I came into this. And you get the opportunity to sit with people like Pete, with people like Ken Schramm, and Kurt Stock. And I mean, there's some amazing judges out there, and they're all really friendly. They're willing to help, and they will help you learn how to figure out what this stuff is. So it's, it's just basically something that you can do. Is there like a mead tasting class? Not really, not yet. We're working on that. But, it's something that you can do. Just go find a local competition and get involved.
I also found tasting wine while reading the reviews helped as well. Then you start looking for the flavors that they think they found.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people. I mean, the quickest way is to go up onto rate beer or beer, whatever beer rating guide you like to read. Go out and find a beer that you like. Sit down and read the comments that people put in as they're rating the beer. Citrusy, piney, resiny, Centennial, Cascade, all the different kind of hops that are in it, and the kind of flavors they give it, the different malts, the astringency or the breadiness of it, the graininess of it, the roastiness and toastiness of it. Read those and start identifying those flavors. And if you can taste them, great, mark that down. And if you can't taste them, try different things. Take just a small bit into your mouth and blow a lot of air over it as you inhale. See if you get that. Wash it around in your mouth and blow out. See if you get the different flavors. Breathe through your nose. Breathe through your mouth. Put your tongue in different places in your mouth when you're breathing in and breathing out. All of that has an effect on your sensory perception of taste and how you perceive different flavors. So don't be intimidated by making yourself look dumb by making weird faces and noises. Trust me, you have all these people that are working for as buyers, wine buyers, and wine searchers for different grocery chains and all that. You get 20, 30 of these guys in a room. They're all making weird noises and sloshing the wine around and everything. Everything from like animal grunts to high pitched nasally sounds. You'll see that a lot. So people have their own method that they use, and it's right for them. It's right for their mouth and their tongue and their, how their palate works. And so you just have to kind of develop those over the course of the years for yourself.
Outstanding. Well, ladies, I think we've come to that point.
We do this all the time.
I know, and here's the deal. This, we started out, the intent was for a 2-hour show, but I've just resigned myself to the fact that this is actually a 3.5-hour show. We're just ending early tonight. So,
yeah. Well, and that's what made me laugh when you first proposed the show, and you're like, and we can do this for an hour. And I'm going, yeah, it's not going to work.
Yeah, we won't be done the intro by then.
Yeah, that's just, I knew from the get-go that but I figured fine, I will let him retain his illusions until they were shattered bodily by the.
Hey, I'm having a blast. This is so much fun. I really enjoy this. And the nice thing about it is, folks out there listening, I know some of you have already gone to bed, but you'll catch it on the rewind. You can catch the show anytime you want because it's always held at SoundCloud. Of course, it's featured on the GotMead.com website. Stitcher. It's out there. So if you just go to Google, look for it. Stop by GotMead.com first and see it there. Usually have I've been pretty good here lately. Usually have about a 24-hour turnaround or less even sometimes. So absolutely check the show out. GotMead Live on GotMead.com. Just click on the radio page. Vicky's got them all piled up in there. Just pick one and listen to it. And if you get the SoundCloud app, hey, you can take us with you and listen to the replays as well. So, big thanks to or part of it. Yeah. Big thanks to Bryan DeGraw tonight from 810 Meadworks in Medina, New York. And once again, let's do a plug for them. 810 Meadworks, a small meadery in Medina, New York, has some big flavors they'd like you to try. 21 Bean Salute offers the aroma of a rich, earthy cold brew coffee with the sweetness of honey and creamy vanilla, and, of course, Liquid Sunshine. You heard Bryan talk about both of them tonight. A carbonated lemon lavender mead made with wildflower honey and green tea. For more information about their tasting room and their mead list, you got to visit them at 810meadworks.com today. And really check Bryan, and I think his wife's name is Larissa. Check them out there at 810meadworks.com. Ladies,
what's the name of that city that they're in?
Medina. Medina. It's
I just love the sound of that word.
Medina.
Nice.
That's another show.
Bad boy, but I've told you that.
Yeah. So usually when we end the show here tonight, usually I kind of pick something out. I cruise through the forums and now the various mead groups and whatnot. And I found something today. And, this is this kind of makes me feel good about the traditional that I've got going. This comes from Brian Butler from Mead Makers Group on Facebook. I ran across this. And he says, just to be controversial, and I know some like to drink it early. Vicky likes to just hang the ladle in the bucket and do it that way. But for
Excuse me?
For all of you who think quick is best in mead, he's soon going to be emptying his port-style elderberry mead from its barrel and starting a new one. It's been barrel aging for 6 years. And he doesn't usually praise himself on his own wines or meads, but he says this one is the best mead he has ever tasted. Complex, intense, rich, layered, incredible. It's about 19% alcohol. Sweet, reminds him of a very, very good tawny port, but with plenty of honey character. And I can only hope for the same with my first traditional. I mean, I hope it's the best mead that I have ever tasted. Coming up next week, Vicky, Casey Stuck from Eagles Landing.
Yeah. Next week, this was supposed to be the week we were starting the meaderies to be. And I didn't realize it. I don't know why I was thinking, because I know 810 is in business, but it just didn't pick up for me when I signed him up. So next week we start the meaderies to be series, and we're going to have 5 meaderies in a row. They're actually in the process of getting open. So it's going to be really interesting because I want to look at, what have they been doing? What's working? What's not working? And kind of get to take a look at the inner workings of this process from a lot of different perspectives, because these guys are all over the country. So, awesome. And then after that series, after we take our next break, which will be right around Thanksgiving time-ish, then when we get back, I want to do O Canada, the next series. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Outstanding. So we can all just take a back seat and let AJ.
Yeah, we'll just let AJ run things. Yeah, it's like we can just sit there and watch.
Right.
Awesome. Well, hey.
Oh, that'll be a hoot, eh?
Yeah, it sure will.
Because I'm totally a dominant personality around here, eh?
It's time you started.
Hey, when you go out, make sure you put the light, eh?
Yeah.
Close the lights.
Big thanks to Pete, Ask Oscar, joining us here live for a Ask Oscar session. That doesn't occur very often, so thank you, Pete, for showing up tonight live. And looking forward to the next show. Gosh, I just had something on the tip of my tongue, but you know what? Tuesday's coming up next week. We'll do it again. Mm-hmm. Say goodnight, Vicky.
Good night, Vicky.
Say goodnight, AJ.
Good night, AJ.
Pete, are you still with us? Pete's already gone to bed.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Yeah. He was distracted. Yeah.
All right. And we'll catch you next week. 9 o'clock.
It's the ticket.
All right.
What's he having, nightmares now?
No. It's just, looking at inappropriate things on the internet, probably.
We'll see everybody next week, Tuesday night, 9 o'clock, right here live on GotMead, live, GotMead.com.
Night, y'all.
Good night, everyone.